This is Supply Chain Now Radio, sponsored by APICS Atlanta and Talent Stream, broadcasting from #Supply Chain City, Atlanta, Georgia. Supply Chain Now Radio spotlights the best in all things supply chain, the people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. In today's session, I'm speaking with Robert Mirrielees, President of APICS Rio Grande Valley Chapter, to learn more about their recent Chapter Excellence Award for Training Development. Robert, thank you for joining me today to discuss APICS and your recent recognition. It was a pleasure to see you and your team at conference in Chicago.
You too, Chris, and thanks a lot for having me on today.
The award you received was for Chapter Excellence in Training Development for incredible revitalization of the chapter training program and innovation of methods used to connect instructors and students. Rio Grande Valley captured a once underserved market and worked diligently to reach their goal of increasing the number of bilingual professionals with APICS certifications. That sounds like a lot, Robert. Tell us more about the award and the things you guys are doing as a chapter.
Okay, let me start by going back about 10 years ago. We had a respectable chapter down here in what we call the Valley. We're on the border of Texas and Mexico, right by South Padre Island, right by the Gulf of Mexico. We had a respectable chapter, but we had an unfortunate thing happen where two of our leaders passed away within about 6 months of each other. And they basically had the chapter under their name, and they had the organization and all the legal documents under their name. And so it took a few years to actually get all that straightened out and get the leadership changed over. So we had two women in our chapter, Sylvia Soria and Beatriz Quintanilla. They were very helpful and instructional in getting the chapter back to life. So this goes back about 7 or 8 years ago. So we started getting the chapter formed again. We probably only had about 5 or 10 members at that time. And we started, having the regular APICS stuff, the dinners, the meetings, the plant tours, and we started doing finally some training. And little by little, we started building on the trainings and providing the APICS training for the CPIM classes at that time, and obviously now we've gone into the CSCP and CLTD as well. So really over the last 5 years, we've gone from almost nothing to maybe 30 or 40 members. Well, we probably have the same amount of certified people here in the Valley. It's been a very good response from the public. One thing I want to explain kind of quickly is that we are on the border, so we're actually serving 2 countries at the same time. We've got the maquiladora business here in Mexico, where in our territory between where we're at in Brownsville, Matamoros, and about 60 miles upriver, there's probably 2 million people on the Mexican side, and I'd say in the range of 300 to 350 manufacturing companies, all on the Mexican side of the border. In the U.S., we've probably got about 75 to 100 companies, albeit maybe a little bit smaller. So we've got a pretty good market down here. We've got a lot of professionals, both on the U.S. side and then the bilingual Mexican professionals that are also working their way up through the organization. So the market was out there. We just had to get to them and start giving the classes, start getting them to get certified, and then have that build on each other. So again, kind of repeating, we've gone from almost nothing to about having anywhere from 20 to 30 people in training at any one time, and getting about 10 people certified per year, if not more.
Are you an instructor, Robert?
Yes, I am. I just took over the presidency from Sylvia, who had it for, again, about the last 5 or 6 years. But I am an instructor, and I do give classes in English on that side of the border and on Spanish on the Mexican side of the border.
It sounds like a lot to manage.
It is, but it's a lot of fun. Both on the U.S. side and especially on the Mexican side, for the people that might not be real familiar with the maquiladoras and manufacturing overseas in Mexico, you've got some very young, very driven, very aggressive, very smart, and bi or trilingual people that are looking to absorb more knowledge to be able to take on more responsibility in their workplace. Let me give you a quick example. Again, about 60 miles upriver from us in McAllen, actually Pharr, Texas, about 60 to 80% of all the produce that comes from Mexico goes through that bridge. And so the amount of logistics and planning and scheduling is tremendous, and that's just in logistics and in transportation. And then we've got all those other positions I talked about in manufacturing. So in the classes, we get a big cross-section of young and old, men, women, people in low volume, high mix, people in high volume, low mix, all together trying to get prepared to take the exams. And even though it is a lot of work, it's a lot of work to organize, but it's a lot of fun to give the classes. The people are very responsive, and it's just plain fun. And I learned so much by doing them. It's just, it's also a benefit to myself.
Are you having success with different types of classes? I mean, the CPIM, CLTD, what do you lead with?
The CPIM, both the what I would call the old style, and now we've actually done 2 full classes of both the Part 1 and the Part 2 for the new CPIM. That's still the marquee one. That's still the more popular one. What we are seeing now, though, is for a lot of the students that have gone through the CPIM, they're starting to want to get to the CLTD following that afterwards. So where I've probably done, oh my gosh, 7, 8, 9 generations of people going through the old and the new CPIM classes, we're just on our 2nd generation of the CSCP and CLTD. But it is starting to get more interest, especially for the CPIMs that got their certification and they want to do something else.
Do you also have a day job? Are you doing anything besides APICS?
Oh yeah, yeah, the APICS we normally do on Saturdays. So I do have a day job. I've been working on and off as a manufacturing consultant, and right now I'm working full-time with a company that I used to work with 10 or 15 years ago. But we normally do APICS on Saturdays. And the other thing that we do that's, I think, really, really helped the availability for people to get prepared for the exams is we will do Zoom, Skypes, GoToMeeting, whatever you want to call it. We will do, computer-based, basically tutoring or study group sessions at night from home or from work or from wherever the people are. So besides doing the standard classes, we probably offer, and this is for APICS RGV, we offer at no extra charge probably the same amount of hours in study groups. That's totally optional for the students, but for the students that are interested, we'll spend 2 to 4 hours a week in study group going through the questions, going through the practice tests and things like that. So yeah, the classes are normally 8 to 4 on Saturdays. We will do study groups 1 to 2 nights a week. Myself and another instructor, Dulce Cantu, here in Matamoros, we met with a student I had 6 years ago that was in the classes, never took the exams, and now she wants to go back and take the CPM Part 1 exam. So we're going to spend time with her, maybe 1 day a week, 1 day every 2 weeks, spend 45 minutes going through the slides and kind of doing a refresher for her for the CPM Part 1, because she already took the class. So we're just going to do a refresher with her. So we do between the video conferences, the study groups on the computer. We have WhatsApp groups that are assigned by each class. So also, if a student is doing a practice test and they've got a question, they take a picture of it on WhatsApp. They send it out to everybody in the class, and normally 3 or 4 people start jumping in and try to answer the questions. One way or another, we do some type of training or development 7 days a week. But a lot of it is in teamwork and in, let's say, off hours. But again, people asking questions when they're studying on their own and they want to get some help at that time.
Well, it sounds like you have some excellent customer service there, so something we could all learn from. And you may be on your way to an award for next year. So you have a lot going on. How can volunteers get involved locally?
We're always looking for more volunteers. We've got a lot of homegrown instructors, but we're always looking for more, and we could use help with marketing and sales and events and plant tours and everything like that. We do have a web page at apics-rgv.org. So it's apics so the upper dash, not the lower one, apics-rgv.org. And we do have a web page there, and you can leave messages. You can also go to that web page and sign up for our mail letter if you want to receive the mailings that we do about once a week.
And Robert, thanks again for sharing with us today. Is there, in closing comments, any last things you might want to mention?
No, I just want to build on one thing you mentioned real quick. It sounds like we do good customer service. really APICS, if you look at the body of knowledge and everything, that's one thing that APICS really pushes, knowing your customer and being able to deliver a good product to your customer. Our customer is the base here in the Valley that wants to get certified and learn more, and we're striving to practice what we preach. So we're trying as hard as we can do, and we hope to keep doing it.
Excellent. Thank you. So be sure to check out past Supply Chain Now Radio sessions on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or our site at supplychainnowradio.com. This is Chris Barnes, host of Supply Chain Now Radio, spotlighting the best in all things supply chain. The people, the companies, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. Thanks for learning.